Take a seat and we'll get started. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. The idea of the Salon Series came to us during COVID when we were all separated from each other. And we were like, how great would it be to still be able to have events, which was not a very popular idea during COVID, but that's what was going through our head. The thing that we couldn't have, we wanted. So we thought it would be great to have intimate conversations with experts from the built world and depending on what their expertise are. And tonight, our expert, the intimate conversation we're going to have is going to be with a developer. And, this event was designed for subscribers. So I want to thank all of you guys for being subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, you know what to do when you get home, all right? Because these canapes don't pay for themselves. Actually, I want to thank our sponsor, Thermador, Bosch, and Gaggenau at BSH. For sponsoring these talks. They allow for these sort of conversations to happen, which they're very important. And I think after tonight's conversation, you'll find out why they're so important, because we get to talk about things in a very detailed way and in an intimate way. And so thank you to BSH and Bosch, Thermador, and Gaggenau. I know there's some architects and developers in the audience. I'm not being biased. Best appliances. You turn on the stove, heat comes out. You turn on the faucet, water comes out, the best. Okay, so please use them. Miki, you already use them, so that's amazing. So tonight's expert is a developer. We have all sorts of different developers in the world, right? You have the institutional developers, you have the financial developers, the guys who work off of spreadsheets. You have the marketing guys who just see something and they're like, I can market this and make it work. And then you have the bricks and mortar guys. And then you have the guys who are able to do sort of all three. You have to be hands-on on all three. And they're independent developers like Miki, right? So he's able to do all three of those things and make them work, which is very difficult to do because you're usually an expert in one thing or the other. And then when you are an independent developer, you do a project and then you don't do one for years and you do your next project. You can take your time. You make a lot of money being a developer if you can do it right. Right?
I don't know.
But the interesting thing about Miki and why we chose him as the developer expert for this series is because he doesn't have a gap in his development. He's doing multiple projects at the same time, which is very normal. That's what you expect from a Related or Brookfield or some of these institutional guys to do. But for an independent developer to continually never have a gap, you got a project on the Upper East Side, you have another one on the Upper West Side, and you keep going and going and going. It's very rare to do. He's one of the most prolific independent developers in the city. And we're very happy to have him here. So please give a round of applause for Miki.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for all of you coming, and thank you, Amir, and the rest of the Real Deal for hosting us. There are a lot of people standing over there. Maybe we can...
You guys, come on in. You can sit on the couch.
Sit here. Guys, let's... it's not formal.
Come on. Come sit down on the couches. Alan, come on in. Lead the way. Lead the way. Yeah, it'll make it more intimate. I thought so too.
So some missing. I can't get along with it.
I need some help here because Amir prepared some tricky questions here. So
you can just tell by my look. Miki, the first question I want to ask you is that, like we discussed earlier, you don't seem to have a gap in your projects. You go from one project to another. In fact, he sometimes makes fun of me. He says a story. He's like, Amir, you're writing about this guy. You're calling him a developer. And he's built 2 things in 10 years. He was like, that's not a developer. So, but you don't have a gap. You building good markets, bad markets. You were building multiple projects during COVID when people were trying to pull out. In fact, you did that big, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was this big ad on the building on the Upper East Side that said New York is very well and alive when a lot of people were preaching the death of New York. With Jerry Seinfeld, he took that Jerry Seinfeld and made a big poster of it. So you building good times and bad times. What's your approach?
Well, first of all, I lost some hair while I was doing it for so many years. Look, I'm doing it for the entire career is about 35 years, and it's all about the opportunities, and it's all about how we can, if there is an opportunity and we think and we believe that there is a need or a void in the market, in a certain market, that we can come in and we can do something that potentially, of course, we want to be profitable, but profit is one thing. The way we see it, life is just too short to do and to design and build mediocre type of projects. So we are not perfect. We make mistakes, but we always, each and every day, we try to do the best that we can. And we always try to find a way to just to accommodate the market need. And Amir is right. We are not doing one project at a time. We're doing multiple projects at a time. But at the same time, if for whatever reason the market is not at the right cycle and we don't find the right opportunity, I will be more than fine to sit tight and wait for the right opportunity. No one is pushing me to do a project just for the sake of doing a project. I'm not working in a format of either a public company that I need to report each and every, oh, wow, like you guys are not active now, whatever. And I didn't raise a fund that I have the urge to deploy money. And if I don't deploy money, my investors are asking me why I'm not deploying the money. All those things for me are the wrong reasons to make a decision to develop a project. By the way, in my career, I took one of the jobs that I did. I took a real estate company public. I went through the IPO and became the chairman of the company, and I had the pleasure to deal with regulators for about a year and a half. And I said, I'm done, because instead of really spending your time and effort on what is important, at least for me and for I think for all of us, to find the right opportunity, to design the right building, not for me, but for the market, and to build the best building that we can. When you're in a public company, you think about what the market will say, what the analyst will say, or again, if you're in a fund structure. So yes, we are very active, but we are very active because we have really good opportunities. We are, in New York today, we are building 5 buildings in Williamsburg, in one kind of mini neighborhood that we are creating. It's 1 million square feet with almost 1,000 units, rental and condominium. And we're not ready yet to launch it, but when we will be ready, you will hear about it. And we are building a 50-story building on 77th Street, the corner of 77 and 2nd, a sister building to the beautiful building that Michael here and Ramza designed for us at 200 East 83rd Street. So Michael and his team are designing for us the building on 77 and 2nd Avenue. And we are developing another building on the corner of 84 and Broadway. Again, another project with Michael and his partners. And by the way, all of that wasn't reported yet. And this is like
it's totally off the record. It's just like 15 art journalists.
Because we want to be able to use it when we're ready to start to sell. But, and more and more, in 23rd and 3rd, and we're doing a lot, but we're not doing those things only because we are bored. Each one of them, we truly believe, and hopefully we are right, we truly believe that those are just amazing opportunities that we felt that we can come in and bring added value to the city, added value to those of you that are selling apartments or renting apartments. and just to do the right thing. And this is New York. We'll talk about Florida after that, but we're also very active in Florida.
So, in journalism, they say to get to the truth or to get to the right answer, you got to ask why 5 times, right? Eventually, you'll get to the answer that you want. So you're not going to tell me that the reason why you guys don't have a gap in how you guys develop is because, you take your time and you look for the right things and you're not pressured to do anything. You built through 2008, you built through 2010, you built through COVID, you're building now, in different markets. There is something there that allows you to continue to build no matter where the market is. What is that one thing? What is it that sets you apart from all these other developers who've built before, but they're not building now or they didn't build before?
Right. So I will come back to that because I will give you a couple of years that we didn't buy anything, and I will explain this in a second. But I at the end of the day, it's about reputation. And this is not only for a developer. This is for each one of you. It's all about reputation. That's at least what I believe. It's all about reputation. We can speak and promote ourselves and use smoking mirrors, but at the end of the day, if there is nothing real behind it, it's not going to last for a long time. And the reason that we can do what we do is because we have a good reputation. The reason that we have a good reputation is because every day we try to do the best that we can. We are not making up stories. We are not trying to manipulate numbers in Excel sheets. We try to, and every day, especially in development, every day there are tremendous amount of problems. It's almost like being in a ER room. It's like every day there are so many different problems, and it's all about overcoming the problems. At the end of the day, deliver. And what we do, we deliver. Is it easy to get from A to Z? No, it's very difficult, but we deliver. So then because we deliver, lenders want to work with us. We are not saying, oh, you know what, this project didn't work well. Here is the keys, and it's your problem. It's not our problem. So the lenders are supporting us. And by the way, we also lending money. We have a debt fund, and that's part of the reason we have also a very good relationship with the lenders. So in this business, that projects are hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. You need the support of the lenders. You need the support of if it's a residential project, either for sale or rental, you need the support of those of you here that are making your living by either selling units or renting units. If you don't believe us, if you don't believe that our product is a good product, you're not going to sell the product. You're not going to communicate it to your potential clients. And if we keep doing the right thing and we keep a good reputation, then we're hoping that you guys will speak to, because we cannot speak with each and every buyer. We depend on the brokerage community to deliver the message. So it's all about reputation. Every aspect of the business, at the end of the day, rely on reputation. And the reason that I think we can do it, it's not that we can always do it. Obviously, there are markets that are very difficult for everyone. But the reason that we can do it in most parts of the cycles is because we have a good reputation, and we have those that are believing in us, and they know that we can deal with the problems and the situations, and if we have the right vision, and we can get it done. So this is
yeah. So it's funny. I teach a class at the Columbia, and the first thing I ask the students, it's real estate media and information. And it's all architect students, and I asked them, I was like, how many of the people in this class want to be developers? Everybody raises their hands. And then I look at the crowd and I look at the individuals and I'm like, man, you'll never be a developer. I can just tell by looking at you. I mean, you can't go to school and say, I want to be a developer. But nobody goes and says, oh, I got a PhD in development from Harvard, right? Like, that doesn't exist. And in the world of real estate, developers are, on the upper part of the hierarchy. what do you think made you a developer, like a very successful? What do you have, you think, that allowed you to be in that group?
Well, first of all, but this is not only being a developer. To be successful, I believe you need to be highly motivated. You need to be willing to work really hard and not just to feel sorry for yourself. You sacrifice on certain things. My older daughter Danielle is here. I see her a lot now because she's working in the company. But when she was growing up, I didn't see her much. I wasn't home much. When I came home, my kids were sleeping already. So you sacrifice, and you need to work really hard, and you need to be humble. Look, the way I see it, I'm far from being perfect. I'm trying to do the best that I can. That's what I always try to tell the younger generation that is joining us. It's all about trying to understand what you're good at and what you're not good at, and try to continue to learn. And most important, when you become successful, continue to listen and to be open to listen to criticism and other opinions. Because throughout my career, I met a lot of very, very successful people. Big billionaires, head of states, prince, whatever you even think about, I met all of them. And the majority of them, the problem that they have is that they got to a point that they stopped listening. They just stopped listening. They surrounded themselves by people that told them, were telling them everything they wanted to hear. And that's where they started to fail. So it's all about understanding. To me, it's all about what I think. It's all about understanding that we're all human beings. Thank God that I'm successful, but I'm making mistakes and I don't know everything. And some of the people around me, they have better ideas than I am. And I want to hear and eventually try to implement and push them to get the best from them, so they can help us to create the best thing that we can create. And I truly believe that this is a major reason that we are successful, and we are. I mean, look at all the projects. Take even the last 10 years. Each and every New York, for example, each and every condominium project that we built in New York was sold out before we got the TCO, before the first buyer moved in. I don't think that there are too many other developers can say it just take the last 10 years. And I'm not trying to rave about it. This is just a fact. And the reason is why. So the reason is because we don't take things for granted. We're not just letting, with all the respect, Michael is here, we don't let the star architects to design what they want without getting a feedback from the market. We don't design buildings that I think that this is the best marble or the best faucet or the best whatever. Of course, I have an opinion, but I'm not trying to impose my opinion. And I'm always asking the architects, the interior designers, the best brokers that are working with us, not to impose their personal opinion on this entire creative, but instead of that, try to understand what the buyers are looking for, what the renters are looking for. And especially in New York, each and every neighborhood is different. Sometimes each and every block is different. So it's all about, think about what we do as developers. We're actually in a really crazy business. We are designing and building very expensive buildings, hundreds of millions of dollars, basically on spec, right? We don't know who's going to buy there. So if we are not spending enough time to really try to understand who is the buyer and what they want, not what I want, not what the architect, of course, the architect is very important, but we want to make sure that we understand what the buyers want or what the renters want, and then translate it to the appropriate design, the appropriate layouts, the appropriate finishes. And I believe, again, why are we selling all those buildings? Why are we successful selling it? This is not, it's a building after building after building. Hopefully I'm not jinxing it now. but this is, I think this is the main reason.
But I mean, the thing that I like to point out is that a lot of other people developed during the same period, and they didn't all sell out before they went to market. So there's definitely something there. So what is your process then when you're trying to identify a project? Do you look at the opportunity where the land is first, or do you identify a neighborhood first? What is that process like for Miki?
Okay, so it's not only Miki. Well, I have a really talented group.
So like when the actor is like, I want to thank God and my agent.
No, but this is...
You're the one, Miki. You're the one.
No. But look, let's take the Upper East Side, just to use an example, right? Instead of... so take the Upper East Side, right? Up to whatever, 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't do anything on the Upper East Side. And then one day, kind of, we were all thinking about it and said, wow, we didn't do anything on the Upper East Side. Upper East Side is such a beautiful neighborhood, amazing neighborhood. And by the way, for some reason, and I don't know if any one of you have the answer for it, it's the cleanest neighborhood in the city. I don't know why, but in any event, but for many years, a lot of people moved from the Upper East Side downtown. And the reasons that we all heard, or they were kind of using, there are trendy restaurants downtown, and I feel cool, I feel younger, the downtown and all of that. And some of it is true, okay? But still, some of the best schools on the Upper East Side, again, very residential, beautiful neighborhood to live in. So not everyone moved to downtown because of those reasons. The main reason was there was really not a good product over there. So if you think about it, in kind of prime Upper East Side, it was basically controlled, or probably still, by some of the most famous core buildings and some not that famous core buildings. But those are very old buildings, small elevators, old mechanical systems, small windows, no amenities. You go to, you step into a lobby and there is a round table with something on the table that looks like what my grandma used to. And you ask yourself, what? This is the best of the Upper East Side? So we said, okay, there is a real opportunity. Honestly, I don't know why anyone else didn't do it before. But it was very difficult to find a development site, because try to buy something on Madison Avenue. You can buy a 20-footer or 25-footer, but you can't create a development from that, right? Try to find something on Park or whatever. So, with a lot of... Once we zero in on that, we focus on that. We bought what is now the Benson on 79, between 79 and 80 on Madison. And we did a really nice project, sold out. That's the one that we put Jerry Seinfeld face during COVID, which we maybe will talk about it after that. Then the Belmont, the corner of 86 and Madison Avenue, both of them sold out probably too cheap. Probably too cheap, because we sold them at least a year or maybe more than a year before we were ready to with the TCO. And then 200 East 83rd Street, the 50-story building, again, on 3rd Avenue, blending at $3,000 a foot on 3rd Avenue. And you ask yourself, okay, why people are paying $3,000 a foot on 3rd Avenue? If you guys didn't see the product, and I'm not promoting it anymore because we sold out, it was the best-selling building in 2021, just look at what we did over there. Such a beautiful building that the buyers, they're just like, oh, wow, I can live in this great neighborhood, and I can be part of this amazing building. So that's the answer. It's just like, okay, we looked at the neighborhood and we said we need to try to find the right opportunities, because there is a demand here that no one is serving.
But then if the options are the 20-footers and the 25-footers, how are you able to do those larger developments?
Okay, so the Benson, for example, we did 5 transactions, 5 different sellers, each one more stubborn than the other one. And then we had commercial tenants and 1 or 2 more stabilized tenants that we had to walk through, and we do everything the right way, of course. We paid whatever we needed to pay, and we got 11 transactions to get the site. By the way, just a funny story. So always the last is the most difficult, right? So we assembled 3 or 4 20 or 25 footers, and then the last one was an 80+ years old gentleman that we spoke with him first, and he said, yeah, I'm going to sell the building, but you don't want to buy only my building, so start to buy the other buildings. And eventually, when we bought the other buildings, he said, no, I'm not interested to sell. I have too much money. I don't know what to do with the money. Now, the guy was born in Israel, and when he was 20 years old, he moved to the US, and so he spent his entire career, made a lot of money, and when he was 55, 60 years old, he moved to some huge farm an hour away from Washington, D.C., and raised horses and didn't care nothing about real estate. So I called him and I said, okay, maybe I will speak with him in Hebrew. He will be nice to me. He didn't want even to talk to me. So then I said, okay, I asked Eva to schedule a meeting with him in his place in the farmland, and he agreed to give me half an hour between whatever he did over there. So I landed in DC, took a car, got to the place, and when I came there, he said, look, you look like a nice man, but you just a nice gentleman, but you spend your time. I'm not selling the building. So going through all of that, and eventually I had to fly to Malibu because he spent the summertime in Malibu, and to know everything about his kids and his grandchildren and this entire thing, and they don't like him and all of that. And no, really, to go through all of that, eventually we shook hands in Malibu to buy a 20-footer on Madison Avenue. But you do what you need to do, right? Now, I don't even remember that, right? So it's like, okay, whatever. It was one of the things that you need to do. So it's difficult. Sometimes it's easier. 86 and Madison actually was an easier transaction. Vornado on the corner, they bought it as part of a package of few buildings. I forgot, and you guys obviously reported on it. And Steve was thinking about developing it, but he probably decided not. We came and we said we want to buy it, and he put a number, and they were really good to work with. Very quickly we worked the deal, and it was much easier. We didn't need to assemble it, right? But so each one is different.
But I think the idea of you picking up and going to Virginia and then not knowing how you're going to be received, flying 6 hours, and this is relatively recent. It's like after your success, and flying 6 hours to Malibu, not knowing how, again, he's going to be received, just to make that thing happen. And I think that's where the difference is. That's the difference in the class where people raise their hands. It's like, you're not going to make that flight to go all the way to Malibu.
I think other people are doing it, but I'm laughing because Eva is here. So he did, we were basically, there was no discussion about the deal because he told me that he's not selling. So then I said to Eva, do me a favor, call, because he had someone that answered the phones for him. I said, Eva, do me a favor, call and say that I want to come to see him again. So she said, oh, you know what? He's spending 2 months in California. I said, okay, so call back and say that tomorrow I actually happen to be in Los Angeles, and if maybe, I will just stop by for a coffee. Obviously, I didn't have a reason. So I flew, landed there in the morning, went to the meeting, spent a few hours listening about his grandchildren and all of that, and then took the red eye back and flew back, right? I mean, that's it is what it is. But, yeah. But honestly, it's not always working. Many times you have not everything works well. You have a lot of, we went through a lot of things that, I think you guys reported. we had a deal on 570 Washington, which is a very big site, right? We had a deal. We fully negotiated the agreement. I signed on our side, so you sign and you send to your lawyer, and the seller was supposed to sign. And I said, okay, here is rewiring the deposit. Okay? And so everything was ready and done. And then they said, oh, they disappeared on us for a few hours because we were asking for the wire instruction for the deposit. They disappear on us, and sure enough, after whatever, half a day or whatever, they came back and said, oh, sorry, we did a deal with our partner that partner in the deal with them for 15 years or 10 years or whatever prior to that. So we spent time on that. We worked hard. We were all, wow, we got a 570 Washington. It's a really good site. It's a full block, right, in great location. And eventually Zeigendorf and step into the deal, and I wish them well. But, I
wish them well. Are you going to fuck yourself?
No, but we lost it. So, you can't win everything.
Like a lot of other developers from New York, you're heading down to Miami. And I spent a good amount of time in Texas when we were launching there a few years ago. And I remember talking to this big Texas developer, and he was like, well, all these cityites from New York are coming and ruining the prices here because they look at everything and they say everything is so cheap, with the New York City perspective. And now you're doing millions of square feet in Miami. Maybe a little late, but maybe not. Maybe it's still hot. You have 2 million square feet that you're going to build in Miami. Is that correct? About 2 million? So Fort Lauderdale and Miami.
Right. So Miami, it's a 1.5 million square feet. But remember, in South Florida, you need to build a garage. So, compared to New York, most of the projects here, we don't have a garage. Or a small garage. So it's 1.5 million square feet, 70-story tower. I call it mixed use, but it's not really mixed use. It's all residential, but the first 42 floors are rental, 530 rental units. So it's a building on top of a building, the way we design it. So ground floor lobby, their own elevators, full floor amenity, 530 rental units. And then from the 43rd floor up to the 70th floor, we have 259 condominium units for sale. Separate lobby, everything is separate. Full floor of amenity on the 50th floor. Really, really nice. Now,
it's a massive project.
Massive. And we have another one in Fort Lauderdale. We'll talk about it. So why did we do it? A little bit, just 2 minutes, a little bit, going back in my history, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I was involved in a lot of projects outside of New York. As far as Singapore, I was involved in 2 big projects in Singapore. I didn't live in Singapore. I was here, but I was involved in, as a partner. One project we were 50%, the other project we were 1/3 of the deal in Singapore. We did in California. We did all over. But then from, I would say, 2011 to about, 2 years ago, I focused mainly on New York. If you know what you're doing and you know how to time it, it's one of the best real estate market, in my opinion, in residential. And plus, I didn't want to be in a position that every minute that I'm awake, someone needs to talk to me. In Singapore, 10 a.m. there, 10 p.m. here, and whatever, right? So crazy, or the West Coast or whatever. Now, South Florida, for a long time, we wanted to come back to South Florida because we were active in South Florida. And in one side, you can look at it that, okay, we might be late. And for certain things, yes, we are late because there were better time few years ago. But the reason we decided, after really checking the market, we decided to be active in South Florida is because there is lack of quality over there. There is lack of quality. And when we speak about quality is not only using a rare marble in your bathroom. It starts with design. And it's not only the facade of the building. You look outside and you look at the facade and say, "Oh, it's a nice building." Then you walk in and you look at the layouts, and it's unbelievable. Most of the buildings in Miami, the layouts are terrible compared to what we do. Guys, you go to a brand new building over there, you go to an apartment that was sold for 5 million, 10 million. And in the middle of the living room, there is a huge column blocking the view. And you think, and you ask yourself, what the architect, the developer, and the broker or the marketing were thinking about. This is like crazy. But for us, it was an opportunity. So we saw there is a really lack of attention to details. Maybe part of it is because it was too easy for them. It was too easy for them. They were building, everyone were buying, everything was great, and whatever. So they didn't pay enough attention to the design, to the quality of what we are creating a product. So we need to create the best product that we can. So we thought, okay, there is an opportunity. At the same time, a lot of people, more and more people moved to Miami that are looking for quality, right? So this is not something that we created. I mean, COVID was like the turbo acceleration of people moving to Miami. Some that moved from New York came back to New York, but there is a real need for quality in South Florida, and there are good developers over there. Not everyone are but there are not as many talented developers in South Florida as in New York. So the competition for quality, I think there is a void for quality, and we think that we know how to do it. We have the experience to do it. We pay attention to detail. We spend thousands of hours designing those things. So we fight for every column, every drop of a ceiling. We want to make sure that we do the best. Are we doing perfect? No, it's never perfect, but our layouts are very good layouts. And we opened actually the sales office in Miami, 2 months ago. And we have a really good response. So hopefully it will continue. But that's the reason why we decided to go to South Florida. Just we felt that we can do something that will be beneficial for the market, but obviously for us as well.
It's a very New York attitude too, right? Because you're like, of course we can do this better. You guys don't know. But it's also a funny thing you see. You always see New York developers in other markets, but you never see a developer from St. Louis coming to New York and say, hey, I'm going to build something here. That just never happens. It's like a real true testament to the fact that if you can do it in New York, you can do it anywhere, but it doesn't necessarily work the other way.
Because we fight here for every inch, right? Every inch, every square feet is so important. We fight for it, right? And plus, the clients here are very demanding. They know what they want, right? And they're very demanding. And what we're building today is so much better quality than what I built 20 years ago. Not because I didn't care 20 years ago. That was the market 20 years ago, right? The buyers were not as demanding as today. The quality is keep improving. And I think New York is at the front of it, at least in the US. And that's the reason that we are so into it and so thinking about everything, how to be competitive in this market. So sometimes when we look at another market, we say, you know what? The demand is there, but the quality is not there yet, or some of it is there, but there's still room for other developer or other project to do well there.
You were converting commercial buildings before it was trendy. Do you, when you go to these Miami developments where they get to do ground up, you could have done it any way you wanted to, but you chose to put, the column right in the middle of the building. But do you see any opportunities for yourself? Because now these commercial buildings are at such a discount, and you had so much experience converting buildings. You must look at some of these buildings on Park Avenue and say, I can do something with this.
Right. So between 2000 to, I would say, 2008, we converted quite a lot of building and office, and of course the most famous one was the Plaza Hotel. But a lot of office buildings, and some of them were landmarks. So we, in addition to converting a building and dealing with a building that is 80, 100 years old, we had to deal with a landmark, which is obviously a challenge of itself. But in any event, here is the thing, we are looking for the last couple of years, and honestly, it seems like, yes, there should be opportunities. We didn't find yet an opportunity that we felt comfortable that it's the right, that financially and design-wise, it makes sense for us. So we didn't find it yet. And honestly, I don't think that there are too many conversions. There's a lot of talk about conversion. Remember that most of the office buildings, the floor plates are too big, they are too deep. We dealt with it in the past. For example, when we converted 225 Fifth Avenue, which used to be the gift building in New York, so, we created like a central courtyard to deal with the very deep floor plates, and there were units that were facing only the courtyards. 250 West, very similar. We cut kind of aside the courtyard over there. Those type of things, they are very complicated and very expensive. Sometimes it gets to a point that it's almost as expensive as building a new building. So at the end of the day, it's all about the opportunities. What I think is missing, and what I think I was hoping, and I'm still hoping, that the governor and whoever is voting over there will come up with some incentives, because none of us here want those buildings to be empty.
What is the incentive that you can think of that would make a difference? Because the city's main initiative is to get these buildings converted. So they're trying to come up with ideas that could work. But what is the thing that's missing that you think would change things?
So there are basically two potential incentives that can help financially, right? One is obviously real estate taxes. So some type of, and not for a year or 2 or 5, right? It has to be. And if you build the condominium, then you pass it along to your buyers, which is a benefit, because many years ago, when we built condominium buildings, we were buying 421A certificates. We were passing it over to the buyers. All the buyers were looking for that and all that. No one is getting them today for many years now. And so one thing is that, and if it's rental, those kind of program in discount, so-called in real estate taxes, are very beneficial for obviously a landlord. The other incentive is just increasing the FAR, because you need, as a developer, look, we all here know that developers and all of us in the business, we know that it's not granted that we're going to be profitable. We take a lot of risk. Sometimes we're profitable, sometimes not. We all hear about those that are not profitable, that are defaulting and all that. But most of the politicians think that the developers, all developers, are making so much money and everything is so easy, and they don't understand why they need to give incentives to developers. But it's not to developers. It's really, how do we change those buildings from big, empty commercial buildings for the city, not for the, okay, I don't want to make money, but who is going to convert it? Who is going to convert it? If it doesn't make financial sense, no one is going to do it. The state is not going to do it. The city is not going to do it. So who is going to do it? You need to make sure. So there are two financial incentives. Either you substantially increase in the FAR, so it makes sense and you can do something and you can increase, you can build more floors or whatever, or some type of a tax benefit.
So it comes down to money ultimately.
In something, not money.
You know, I understand. Yeah, like some sort of financial incentive.
Because otherwise it doesn't make financial sense. Not real estate. None of us is going to do anything unless it makes financial sense. Now, even if we think it makes financial sense, we might be wrong and we might lose money, but none of us is going to make a decision on anything in life to spend money if we think we're going to lose money, right? So it doesn't make sense. So why would I do it if I know from day one that I'm going to lose money? Doesn't make sense. So we need to find a way to, and I give you another reason, and I think I said it on a panel that that you were moderating, and now it's a fact. Before that, it was maybe. I mentioned that we are building 5 buildings in Williamsburg, and the original plan, so it's 1 million square feet. The original plan, so we have phase 1 with 3 buildings, 2 rental, 1 condo. And you will hear pretty soon about the condo because someone that is very, very talented that is here today is going to promote it. Now, so that's one thing. Phase 2, we were planning to build 2 rental buildings. That was the plan. That's what we wanted to do. Because the Affordable New York program expired, and we didn't have the time to drive the piles and play the game with the piles, we can't build rental. So I mentioned it to you, and then when I met with the governor, I said the same thing, and to the mayor the same thing. I will be okay. I'm building condo. I'm going to make money. How exactly it's helping the city? How it's helping the state? Because I don't have a choice. I'm not going to build rental and lose money because I need to pay full real estate taxes. It's just too expensive. It doesn't make sense. But that's the thing. The politicians, they just don't understand that we can't do. We are not going to do something that in day one we think we're going to lose money. We're just not going to do it.
Yep. No, that makes sense. There's a lot of frustration there, for sure. Developing in New York and Miami, I just want to ask quickly, give us some key differences in Miami where you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, I can't believe I can just go do this.
So I would say that in New York, lately, we heard a lot rolling the red carpet to developers. But the reality is it's easier in South Florida. It is easier. It's substantially easier. The one thing that is not easier was surprise for me is in New York, when you buy a site and you if you don't plan to go to rezoning, change the zoning or whatever, right? You know what you can and what you cannot do, right? The zoning is very clear. You design, as long as you design, you follow the zoning. You file for a building permit, and as long as you follow the rules, you get a building permit. In South Florida, no. So this is really no. Yes, the zoning is for residential, and you can build 700 feet, and you can do that, and you can do that. However, you need to present it, and then the commissioners are going to look at it, and then they might don't like this corner or this finish or whatever. And, okay, but this is a $500 million that I'm investing in the city, and I'm going to change this corner because of that. I think the buyers like this corner, not that corner. But the point is, it takes longer actually to get a building permit in, at least our experience, Miami and Fort Lauderdale, than New York. However, everything else is much easier. And that's the reality.
I'm just curious, how many people in the audience have had to ever get $100 million loan? Just raise your hands. It's a tough thing to do, especially in 2023 when it was one of the toughest lending markets in recent history. You managed to get $800 million loan in construction loans to build stuff. I'm just curious, you get to a certain place with the bank where they're like, Miki's credit's great, he's got a great reputation, let's give him $200 million. But to get to that $500, $600, $800 million, what is the relationship like with the lender? And how does that develop? Where they're like, Miki, we're going to give you $800 million.
Well, they're not giving it to me. So first of all, you have to have the right.
They're definitely going to collect it from you.
No, correct. No, we'll get there because we spoke about reputation. Reputation is very, very important because lenders are looking, and I say it while I say it, I'm thinking about a couple of stories in the last 20 years that some real estate developers defaulted, and we all thought they would never come back. And 5 years after that, they were doing big projects. So it's not always, but I still believe reputation is very important. And yes, memory is short, but still a long-term success or reputation in paying back loans and doing what you promise and completing things on time and getting things on budget are very important. But first of all, it's about the project. If the project doesn't make sense, no one is going to lend me money. No one is lending Amir money. No one is going to lend Jeff Blau money. First of all, the project has to make sense. So if the project makes sense, financial sense, real financial sense, and the lender doesn't look at my last dollar. The lender doesn't take my risk. The lender take substantially less risk. So if the lender is well protected, the next phase is who is even lending. And Amir is right. There are only few, especially when you go to the over $100 million, there are only few that are lending. Only few in this huge country, only few that are lending. Not only in New York, in the entire country, only few that are lending. It's unbelievable. And we're not talking about spec office building. We're talking about residential, which I think is probably the safest, space in real estate. And it's very difficult to get financing. However, if you have the right project, if it's really solid, and they stress test it in every different angle, and they feel comfortable about their position, and if you bring real equity and not play games with equity, and you have real equity in front of the lender, and you have the reputation, and you have the right team, then you can get financing. And Amir is right. In last year, 2023, we closed over $850 million, not in one loan, in three loans. And it was very difficult, but we got it done. And we are very happy with that. But it doesn't mean that in 2024, 2025, it will be a walk in the park for us. No, it's going to be difficult. We're going to grind. We're going to push. We're going to make sure that we have enough equity in the deals, and we'll make sure that the lenders will feel comfortable with our deals. Now, I just want to mention one thing. What is helping us a little bit is that we enter into the lending business a few years ago, and we run a debt fund, and we are lending money to other developers and real estate investors. And being a lender, it's actually a very good time because there are not too many lenders that are willing to lend. So we look at, when we come in, we are not just like some credit officer that sits somewhere and doesn't really understand, he or she see many different potential loans and they make a decision based on what? We understand the real estate. So if we look at the deal, for example, we are financing 64 University, which is actually a really nice project. The developer is doing a beautiful job, right? We missed this opportunity. We didn't buy the site, but the developer is doing a really beautiful job. So we looked at the deal and we said, okay, this is the right basis. This is a good project. This is sellable. They can sell it. And, we feel very comfortable with us. So the same way that we are looking at it as a lender, other lenders are looking at it. While we are doing it, we're establishing very good relationship with major lenders. Because, for example, 2 deals we got, Deutsche Bank came to us and said, look, we're looking at those 2 deals. Would you take we're lending the second tranche, the mezzanine piece. Would you be interested to lend the second tranche? So deals are coming from lenders. We did deals with Deutsche Bank. We did deals with OZK. We did deals with others. The lenders love having people like us that understand real estate in a second position, because if we vet the deal and we think we can make mistakes, but at least we understand the real estate. We understand the challenges. We understand what it takes to get it done. And they feel more comfortable that we're in the deal. So it's all about, at the end of the day, it's relationship, both ends. And, you get to know people and they feel comfortable with the way you look at deals. They feel comfortable that you're not just over-optimistic and manipulate numbers in an Excel sheet. And that's how you get there.
I want to have Michael Jones, who's done many projects with Miki as an architect. Michael, you've worked with a lot of developers, throughout the city, especially in the last 10, 15 years, with a lot of them. What makes Miki stand out?
I know it's not like related to the incorporation, very different work.
You got to speak up. We can't hear you.
It's not like we're doing like big company. I think Mickey's very different to these places. It's almost like a family of bit that with Mickey and Danielle and how they run the business, and the decisions are very fast. And then now I lost control.
Yeah.
It's just that's your Denmark. Does never.
Yeah, so Danielle really managed me. So that's, but to just for all of you, and this is for those of you that thinking about their kids or whatever and how to do it. Danielle started as a receptionist. She didn't start as a VP of blah 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 and whatever. And part of what the reason is that throughout my career, when I met all those very successful people, very, very wealthy people and whatever, and when I got a little bit close to them, because I'm a family guy, it was always my questions to them was about family. So tell me how you dealt with your kids, how you make sure that they're motivated. You have billions of dollars. How you make sure that you're motivated. Most of them, you will be surprised. Most of them were telling me when they felt comfortable with me that they are the last person that I should ask because they made all the mistakes in the world, including, by the way, the guy that was speaking before that I went to Malibu and all of that. He said not only his kids, his grandchildren are not talking to him. So, it's all about, and of course, it's all about, so yes, Danielle today is doing a lot and she's doing a really great job. And Michael met her in the, she's still young, but when she's also already in a really experience, but she didn't start with that. She started as a receptionist and she's working hard to prove herself. And if she's not going to do a good job, she's not going to continue to do it only because she's my daughter, because then I'm doing the wrong thing. So she's doing a great job. That's why she has the flexibility to run things and to make decisions. And I think that everyone else that are working with her appreciate that because of her, not because of me.